fam, Lanchen here. Welcome back to my channel. You guys have been asking me a lot of questions about resin recently, probably because I've been posting more collections in resin, and I feel like it's better to just make a video to try to answer everything within one video, and that's what I'm gonna do today. So I'm just gonna show you I'm going to take you through my little painting area, everything that I use in order to pour my resin, all the products, materials, just so you have a little feel, an idea of what you're getting yourself into if you decide that you want to explore your epoxy resin journey further. I know for me personally, I really would have enjoyed watching a video like this in the past because I couldn't really find anything online of how to set up an art studio for resin specifically. So hopefully this helps you out and it just kind of skips that process of trying to figure out everything on your own. Now, by any means, this is not going to be a very pretty video because my resin space is quite messy. So if you're not accustomed to the complete mess, you're on the wrong channel. So this is the space that I pour in, and yeah, it's you can't really see how messy it is because there's a lot of stuff actually under this table that you don't see, but this is the main section where I pour. Pretty cool, huh? And I also like to work in front of a window that is open. I have two windows in this room and they're both open while I'm working. It's very important when you're working with those volatile organic compounds that you have some airflow going through. And you know, I also don't want any of those fumes going under the door or anything like that. I do have animals, so that's why this it's really perfect to be set up in front of a window like this. Another little thing that I like to have too is this. And this is actually for filming me working on my resin pieces overhead. It has a little clip right here, and I can either watch TV if I don't feel like filming. And this is the messy part that I'm talking about. I have all of my resin just sitting here on the floor in bags and boxes. The reason I do this is because when you're pouring the resin into the cup, sometimes it slips over the edge and then it gets all over the bottle, and then you don't want to get resin on the floor. So I always put it back in the box it was shipped in, or if I threw away the box, I will put it in these beautiful grocery bags. Another thing that I should mention is that I actually have my table raised by stacking it on things in my house. The unfortunate thing about this table is that it's very low and I'm tall, so looking down and pouring resin really hurts my neck. This is still too short for me, but it does help a little bit, so that's the reason it's raised. This is actually my trash bag, and this comes in handy. I don't have an actual designated little trash can, I just use my bags, and I have this right here that I got from Target for $3. It holds your cables for your phone, but it also has a hook on the bottom, so I just attach a bag to this. And under the table right here, I have my storage. So these are resin pieces that I am working on, and I have them all flipped upside down because I don't want any dust sitting in there while they're just chilling. And then I also have them wrapped in bubble wrap and acid-free paper. And then I have Tupperwares down here, which are for storing my resin pieces as they're drying. And I just keep them under the table because, I mean, there's normally nothing under here. I don't sit here, I just stand at this table, so it works perfectly. Yeah, it doesn't look great when you walk in, but it works. So now that you've seen the mess that I have underneath the table, let's get to the actual table itself. Originally, when I moved in here into this room, this extra space that I had, I wanted to get a nice table to work on, but that makes no sense because it gets completely destroyed after you work on it with resin. And yes, I have a plastic covering on top of this table, but I still get resin on it somehow. I ended up just going with a fold-out table. I think this one is 6 feet long, and it's perfect for my needs other than the fact that it's, like I said, very short and it kind of hurts to look down. It's very affordable. I'm not gonna cry if it gets ruined. It's a heavy duty table. It folds up, it's great for storage. Also, all the stuff I'm gonna be showing you here, I will link below. Most of my stuff is from Amazon, and it just makes it easier for you guys to just check it out there. All right, so this is my table covering. I got this from Amazon. It's a really thick plastic. I used to use those little thin plastic ones, and I would have to throw them away every 2 to 3 uses. So I finally invested in a thicker, heavy-duty one that is reusable. This is definitely worth the money than going out and buying the cheaper ones, because I could have just bought this a long time ago and still been using it, as opposed to buying like 30 of the other ones. And then right over here, I have my light. I got this light from Walmart. I think it was about $6. It has LEDs in the center, so it's very accurate lighting, and it comes in handy at night when I really need to see what I'm doing in my work. And it's very direct lighting, so it's perfect. Now let's dive into some of the products that I use on my table. So I have 2 of these buckets in 2 different sizes, and this is a 2.5 quart bucket. And I like these a lot because I have more space for resin. Normally I just use a little red Solo cup, which is dumb when I think about these existing, but I actually just purchased these a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know I could find them at a Lowe's, but that's where I found them, and they come in a bunch of different sizes. But the reason I have such big buckets, not only because I pour lots of resin, but because I like to use this buddy right here. This is probably the best invention ever made. I cannot believe that I've been mixing resin by hand for so long for 5 minutes straight. It's such a pain to do, and this thing does it for you. These come in multiple different sizes, and look at that. It's just an attachment that goes to a drill, and if you don't own a drill, I'm telling you, buy one just so you don't have to mix your resin anymore, because that's probably the longest and most frustrating process for me, is sitting and mixing your resin and just sweating while you're doing it. And wearing a face mask and doing that, it makes it so much worse. So this really speeds up the process. And the great thing about this is that it's plastic, and the resin actually does pop off of this. These arms come in different lengths as well. This is the length I got because I felt like it was perfect for what I'm doing. You know what they say, work smarter, not harder. Now let's get to let's get to the next thing where I definitely work harder, not smarter. This. Okay, so I've used this so many times that resin has gone into here and it actually doesn't click. This is my torch that I use to get the bubbles out of my pieces. So instead of me buying a new one, I actually just turn on the gas and light it with a lighter. I know this is so dumb of me to do. I did actually invest in the little tiny hand torch that's for cooking, but for some reason here in California, I cannot find butane anywhere. So I have the actual mini torch, but I have nothing to fill it up with. That's what I've always wanted, and that's what I've wanted to use for a while, and it's just been sitting in my cabinet. If you guys know where to find butane in California for the cooking torches, let me know. Now let's move on to my heat gun. I put my heat gun right here on this cabinet. This little tiny cabinet contains all of my paints. So when I'm working on my resin here, I just grab it from here, go, and then just sit it right there. So that thing comes in handy. Now let's move down to this nice mess in my cute shoes. So this is my air purifier. I got it from Walmart. I'll link something similar below, but you turn this on 30 minutes before working in your studio space, so that way it filters any hair or dust floating around. And what was I gonna say? I forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot. Anyways, yeah, so this thing's great. You definitely want to make sure you have one of these. And then I have my charger here for my drill, along with the extension cord. That's all of my stuff plugged into it. Did I mention there's only 2 outlets in this whole room? And right behind me on the shelf is where I keep my disposable gloves and my tape. This tape is painter's tape. You tape your paintings off with this, and it removes all the resin and makes sure that nothing gets on your wood panels. I have them in lots of sizes because it's just easier that way. I also got these from Amazon as well. It's a pack of 100 of them. But I will say they're not reusable. I probably go through a couple pairs per session, but that's just because I continuously take things on and off as I'm working, because I like grabbing certain things without my resin gloves, obviously. So, okay, moving on. These are my little mini cups that I use. I just get these from anywhere, really. You can get them from the grocery store. I just had a bunch of these left over, but honestly, I wouldn't really use these for paint because it is paper and they get squishy, and then, I don't know. Probably don't use these. I would go with the little plastic ones, but these are great for sitting your paintings on. So I will flip these upside down, and I'll put my resin piece on top and then pour. Probably the thing I use most often is this spray bottle right here. I spray down literally everything the entire time I'm working to try to avoid dust and hair from floating into my pieces. and this helps so much. Moving on to mixing sticks. These are the 3 sizes that I use, and I got them all in packs of like 100, and these are specifically for mixing color in the tiny little cups that I just showed you, and these are for bigger cups with color, and these are for the largest. Pretty easy. The great thing is they're all reusable, so if you buy a pack of 100, expect to have those pack of 100 for a long time. Alright, so that's my setup. Like I said, it's not very picturesque, but it definitely gets the job done. Hopefully this helped you and trying to set everything up for yourself. And something I should have mentioned is that this is not a room I sleep in. This is just a room that I work in, and you want to make sure that your resin space is separate from everywhere else in the house. So that's it for this video. If you have any other videos that you would like me to make for you, any other questions that I can answer for you, just drop a comment below, and I will see you all in the next one.
Hello.